A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is Sven, and today I'm joined once again by Lisbeth and Tom from Litocoastercouple. Hi guys!
Hey Sven!
Hello!
So, it's probably the first time that we're recording a podcast episode at a theme park, because we are sitting right now in front of the Plopsa Hotel in Plopsaland, De Panne. Because, well, we're here for the first nocturnal event of the park. And what does that mean, Tom?
Yeah, the park stays open today till 10:30, so the rides and attractions will remain open till 10:30. So that means night rides on the Ride to Happiness.
Yay!
Well, that's what we hope for.
Yeah, that's what we hope.
It's a bit cloudy, so that's good. That means that it might be a bit darker.
Earlier,
exactly. So let's hope we can see that. I think we'll see the lights on the coaster for sure. But I think that's one of our subjects today. We're going to reflect on our previous episode where we had expectations about the two new big coasters in Belgium, Kondaa in Walibi, Belgium, and of course Ride to Happiness in Plopsaland. And we're going to... we had a list of the topics that we discussed, expectations that we had, and so we noted those down, and we're going to see if we still agree with what we expected or if the reality turned out to be different. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes, we're ready.
All right. Well, first of all, there's something that we need to notice is that we talked about in the previous episode that the Kondaa, we had thought that it would have opened on April 3rd. Turned out to be May 8th.
8th, yeah.
Yes, but part of it was correct. It opened with the park opening.
Yeah.
I guess they had more time to prepare for the opening of the ride, training the staff and everything. And so, were you guys there for the opening?
Yeah, we were there on opening day. It was very crowded. Because we also first thought that when it was the 3rd of April, normally, foreigners would not be able to come into Belgium.
Yeah.
But now, however, a lot of people from outside of Belgium were there, which was a good thing as well, because we saw a lot of friends from France, from Germany, from the Netherlands. And it was a lot of enthusiasts. So, yeah, it was busy, but it was fun.
Yeah, we also discussed this on a previous episode, in episode 30 of Let's Go Intamin, where we discussed Kondaa, the European Intamin that opened, and then the episode after was Velocicoaster in Universal Orlando. Yeah. But so, back to Belgium, because now we have both Kondaa and Ride to Happiness open. Ride to Happiness opened on July 1st. Not officially, because it's trial runs.
Yeah, it's some kind of soft opening, a little bit trying error. The error is still not fully complete. There's still some things they need to add. But the ride's open and the staff is training.
Yeah, like just today they changed part of the station still. So it's interesting to see how it still develops, but the official opening would be
the 21st of July, so it's in a few weeks' time.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the 21st, so it's on the national Belgian holiday.
Yeah, it's on a Belgian national holiday, and that's when the opening ceremony will be held in the evening, and then the 22nd will be the opening day for public.
Oh yes, correct. All right. Now, let's attack. The first thing we discussed was the stats of the coasters. Obviously, they haven't changed since the construction. But we did talk about, well, bigger is not necessarily better. So, having ridden the coasters now and comparing their stats, do you think they live up to their statistics? Let's start with Kondaa.
I think Kondaa is like they told. It's high, it's big, it's fast, and I think Kondaa is high, big, and fast.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same.
Yeah, it really lives up to the expectations. Kondaa really has the speed they told us, and I think it even has a little bit more than I expected. You really feel the speed even near the end of the ride when it stays really low to the ground. It has a good pace, so yeah, I think the stats really reflect on the coaster.
I do have to admit that when you walk in the queue and then you walk next to the lift hill, it looks smaller than I expected. Like from far away, obviously it's pretty big, but then once you're right next to it, it looks smaller, but I guess that's because I'm used to high coasters like Leviathan or Silver Star or things like that. But of course for Belgium it's still, and the Netherlands, it's the highest coaster.
Yeah, that's what we thought as well, because when you walk underneath it, it's you can really stand underneath the first drop, and it looks very intimidating, but it's not as intimidating as we would have expected. But still, it's really big. Not as big as Expedition GeForce, if I'm correct.
I think it's about this. It's very similar.
It's very similar, yeah. It's probably a few meters, but I think Expedition GeForce has a little bit more the image of being higher because it's also surrounded by all the trees.
Yeah, it's a very open space, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But next to that, I also think that the speed really lives up to what you expect from that number.
Yeah.
It's especially after the first drop and then on that first airtime hill, it's like, whoa.
It really takes that hill with a lot of speed. So
It's crazy.
It's good.
But I do think that towards the end it loses a bit of pace, like not extreme, but I had hoped that it would hit those final bumps a little faster. Although compared to my first ride on the first day and having ridden it again end of June, beginning of July, it already gets a very higher pace towards before.
Yeah. Last weekend on Sunday we also did some rides, also in the late afternoon, and then you really notice this when it's warmed up, it really has difficulty not losing pace. No, it has difficulty losing pace. Yeah, it's really well paced near the end when it's really warmed up. So it lives up to expectations.
So high and speed. Then right here we have a bit less high, but still decent. And speed-wise, I don't think it does feel too slow.
No.
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 No, it's crazy. The high it isn't very high, but because of you have the water beneath you, it's like it's larger than you think.
Yeah.
I like it to see the water. You noticed.
Yeah, that was important the last
It was
time
very
you
important.
mentioned the water.
It's very very important for me. So it's like larger because of the water. You watch down and you see the water. So it's a reflection also. I think yeah.
Well, the first time I didn't see anything. Like most people, like you're too focused on what is going on.
Yeah.
It took me about 10 rides to finally see the sea from the top of the coaster because I finally focused on it. You also have to be a bit lucky on which side you're turning. But then another big plus of Ride to Happiness is the inversions, of course.
Yeah, the 7 if you can really count. Yeah, it's a running gag, I know. But the 5 inversions are really great because you've got the banana roll, which is the first in Europe, if I'm correct.
Could be, yeah.
And then you also have that first inversion, which is super great for hang time. And yeah, the double inverting dive loop. Do I even need to talk about it? It's crazy. It's something we haven't experienced yet, and certainly for a spinning coaster, it's very unique.
It's nice to capture it on video, right? The double inverting.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots around the park where you can have some really nice angles of it. It is surrounded by some trees, so it is a bit difficult for some places, but it's really beautiful.
Well, if you want to see an in-person experience of the coaster, then you can go to the Litocoastercouple YouTube channel, and there you can see Tom and Lisbeth riding it. Was it the first time?
It was our second ride, but
Okay.
it was the first ride on the front row.
Okay.
So-
so definitely check that out, and I think there will also be a video coming soon of all of the coaster itself, the cinematic videos that we are used to seeing from you guys.
Yeah, that's being worked on as we speak.
Okay, perfect. So that way you can really see the statistics come to life of the coasters. So I guess, yeah, it's we said that Kondaa outbeats it statistic-wise. I think that's still the same. Unless you really are into inversions, then Ride to Happiness will be your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Okay, but then, story and theming. Now that's a different story.
Yeah.
Pun intended. The story of Kondaa, we talked about it in the previous episode. It's a monster, we need to beat the monster. Does it really have extensive theming? I don't think so. Oh, maybe the station.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the station is really one of the key elements for the ride. I've mentioned it before as well, but I love like the snake kind of curtains that you have in the station itself. So it's more stylized elements than actually theming. And of course in the queue there's not really theming as well, but it will be very focused on the plants and the greenery, but obviously that still needs to grow.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I do think that the station is very moody, so you really have the jungle vibe, you have these vines coming down from the roof, you have the nice dispatch sounds, which is always very fun, especially when there's people around you who like to beat people up on the drums. But yeah, that's where it all ends for the coaster itself, because the queue line itself, it goes underneath the structure of the coaster, and just before you get into the station you still have one big painting of Kondaa, but yeah, as far as story goes, it's not very clear for general public. Even in the plaza itself, you have this really nice statue in the middle where you have a pathway going through it, and you have some water in a little pond. And it's very nice. Yeah. Everything is very nice. It's on the new level that Wallaby has.
I like the entrance. I don't understand you are so negative about it. I like the entrance. Okay, the storytelling is not very good, but the entrance is beautiful. You have the water. You have the large entrance. I like it. I know the queue line isn't very themed, but I like the entrance.
I totally forgot about the entrance square, in fact. So yeah, there they have the huge statue. You can even go through the statue with a little bridge, and then the integration of the Kondaa ride. So I think maybe it's just the queue that could do with some extra things, but otherwise, the main square is pretty beautiful, fits perfectly in the exotic theme. And then, the station is a big plus. Plus the train, of course.
Yeah, and I also have to say, just before you enter the queue line, you go underneath this big head of Kondaa.
Oh, yeah.
And that is really well done. I think it's been designed by Julian B. Very, very well done. It's very beautiful.
I guess it was like doing what Osiris was supposed to be, like, because now Osiris, you have the temple, and that's the exit of the temple, while now at Kondaa it's the opposite. It's actually the entrance to go in, so that's nice. Ride to Happiness, that's a different thing, because there we said that it would be a separate area, secluded, and I think that fits 100% what we expected.
Yes, indeed. I already call it the Oasis because every time we're here, we say, let's go to the Oasis because it's a secluded area. You forget you're in Plopsaland and you have this amazing coaster. You have this good vibe area with a tent, with some nicely themed entrance building and a nicely themed station. My God.
And it's not even finished yet.
No, it's not finished.
Because aren't they supposed to make like a kind of, not bridge structure, but like a portal to enter the area as well?
Yeah, they still need to make the entrance area. They still need to install some lanterns. And also a statue in the middle with a fountain.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Those are all things that still need to happen before the opening. I hope it happens before the opening.
Yeah, because the park is open and every day now. So,
but as I noticed, they are working on it during night, during downtime. Yeah, they're taking really good care of the area and they're trying their best.
What did surprise me, however, is how high the level of theming is compared to the rest of the park. Not that the rest of the park is not well themed, because it is well themed, but here you feel like they took it a step further even, obviously because Tomorrowland invested in it as well. But like their Plopsa Hotel as well, they do have a higher level compared to some other areas in the park. So you feel that they are going towards becoming a resort. But of course, yeah, those two areas won't be enough. They will need to keep invest in the other areas as well. And the queue line also surprised me for Ride to Happiness.
Yes, the first time we went to the coaster, we entered to the queue line, and it was very weird. It was when we were sitting in the coaster, we thought, oh, we are in England or in
Phantasialand or something really high themed,
yes,
which has such a high level of theming that you wouldn't put it in a Plopsa park.
Yes, it was really crazy until we heard the sound of the typical tune of Plopsaland. We knew, oh yes, we are in Plopsaland. We are not in Phantasialand.
And obviously the rest of the coaster is integrated in the rest of the park, so it's not really possible to have theming there, but it's because of all the buildings and the surroundings, the water, of course. Yes. You do have a different kind of experience. Plus, the ending is actually in the Oasis, and there they also made a little bit of water.
Yes.
They have a bit of rock work. So it's really impressive what they did with the Ride to Happiness.
Yeah, also in the queue line there's a lot of moving elements, and that's something we have not seen in any Plopsa park except maybe for the queue line of Skyscream in Holiday Park, where you have those small animatronics that scare you. But here, I don't know, are we doing a spoiler free?
No.
No? Okay. So I really like
spoiler alerts.
Yeah, spoiler alert, people. But I like how there's so many moving elements. You have those pistons that move. You have the wind turbine that moves. You have there's so many things that you can look at. It's not boring being in this queue line. You can see so many things. There's blueprints. There's so much to see. It's not even finished all, because as I heard, only 50% of all the moving parts are actually working at this time. So when it's all finished and all done, I think it's going to be very good. Very, very good.
To be fair, though, I think the story of Kondaa is more basic, but it's clear. While here, it doesn't really tell you the story, what is going on, until you finally notice, oh, it's the four elements.
Yeah.
So, but why it's the four elements, and that's not really, there's not really a story, but there's some style that has been used, obviously the Tomorrowland style, what you see in the area as well, because I really like the bridge that they built. because it's pretty much, well, I have never been to Tomorrowland, but you have, Tom, so I guess they have those kind of bridges there?
Well, I have not been to Tomorrowland, but I have been to the area where they normally do Tomorrowland, and indeed the bridge is a bit like the big central bridge that they have over the big section to go to the main stage.
Okay.
So they also have some wooden pathways just like here, so it's very nice to see that they bring the style that they have over there to here.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your favorite?
It's very difficult, but I think I will choose Tomorrowland. Not Tomorrowland, the Ride to Happiness.
Yeah.
Because you are, like Tom says, in an oasis. It's very nice when you enter the zone. You are really into it. You are not in Plopsaland. You think you are somewhere else.
Yeah, I think the same thing, because also it's a bit sad that the queue line of Kondaa is really this big green field. And that's where you immediately get back into the zone of, hey, we're not really in this African American, this jungle vibe theme. Okay, yeah, the plant life and everything still has to grow, and we totally get that. And I hope it really grows fast, and you really have this feeling when you're in the queue line. But here, when you step into the zone, with the Ride to Happiness, when you step into the zone, when you go into the queue line, you really are somewhere else, and you totally forget that you're in Plopsa.
The thing is, I've been thinking about it just now, and it's, as we talked about it, Wallaby already had some pretty nice areas, and so Kondaa was like, yes, it's another nice area. While here, we saw that they stepped it up big time, for the first time almost, with the Ride to Happiness. So maybe that's why we also have the impression that the theming of the Tomorrowland area is a lot better. Well, not a lot better, but feeling-wise, it feels a lot better than the Kondaa area. But I think that the queue line is a negative element for Kondaa, but then we have the queue, the station, you have the first square. It's hard to choose for me.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Because they're both so good.
Yeah, they're good.
But like, also based on personal experience, I think I'm going to choose the Ride to Happiness. Because, yeah, it's just a level up for Plopsa, and I hope they can use that same kind of vibes for the other new areas coming to the park. But it's a very close call.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to the third element, and that's the ride experience. Now that's also a story, because Kondaa, I've already talked about it before in the previous episode. Kondaa does what you expect it does. Part of my expectations comparing to Hyperion were true about the lower elements, that I expected a little bit more intensity there. However, the non-inverting Cobra roll was not as good as I expected. It turned out better with some of my later rides, especially front seat, because I'm really fond of front seats on Kondaa for me. So what about you guys?
I think Kondaa is for me, it's a nice ride. It's less unique as the Ride to Happiness, but Kondaa is very nice. It is a nice coaster to do. You can it's re-rideable, so you can ride it several times
After
each other. So that is very nice. And yeah, the first drop is amazing. I think this is the best piece of the coaster.
Yeah, for me as well, it's a very good coaster. It's really good, and I think we're blessed with having this ride here in Belgium. It's a great backseat coaster, because I love the way it pulls you down on that first drop, and you have that flow trajectory on the first hill, also on the second hill, on that outer bank airtime hill. It's really lifting you out of that seat for several seconds. Really, it's not just, oh, I'm out of my seat and I'm back down. No, it's I'm out of my seat and I'm still out of my seat.
Yeah.
And now I'm finally in my seat
Yeah.
again. It's crazy.
The airtime is crazy.
Yeah. It might not be the most forceful airtime, but it's very long. And that's something you get on very little coasters.
That's why the second airtime hill is my favorite part of the ride, because I think that's especially backseat that you just keep going into the air, and it's like floater ejector somewhere
In between, yeah.
But it's like you guys say, it's less unique compared to other coasters, but from comparing to Expedition G-Force to Goliath, you see it's the new version, also because of the trains. Although it is weird, but I've mentioned it in previous podcasts as well, but it's weird that compared to Taron, that my feet aren't dangling.
Yeah, we were saying that as well, and we've also ridden it with some pretty big people. They also think the angle that they get, because their feet are planted on the ground and their legs on the bottom are bigger, they get a little hurt on the restraints. However, it's really a nice sensation. For us, because we're not that big.
You mean tall, probably, yeah.
Yeah, tall.
Because
yeah.
big is the other way.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, we've yeah, okay.
But
Not
continue.
horizontal, but vertical.
Yeah, vertical, big. No, but what was I going to say?
Yeah, well, you said that the people that are taller, that they have more pushed into the restraint
because of the leg room. But I think even with our feet planted on the ground, the trains are way more comfortable than the older Intamin mega coaster trains.
Yeah.
It's such an improvement, and just because of the improvement on the restraints and this, I would even put it above some RMCs. Just because of the quality of airtime and the feeling of comfort during the airtime.
For me personally, I would put the coaster in my top 10 from what I've ridden. So, and especially in Europe, like it's definitely one of the best coasters in Europe. That's no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's maybe even in the Benelux, it's top 3, and that's saying something, I think, because in the Benelux we have some really top coasters. Really now, because Konda's here, Ride's Happiness here. We've got Untamed, we've got Phoenix. There's so many great coasters here. So, saying it's top 3 in Benelux, I think it's really well placing it.
Lots of praise for Kondaa.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
then there's also the Ride to Happiness.
Yes. And that's something different.
It's something
Totally
unique.
different.
Something unique.
It's something unique. You have it's crazy, but I will say it again. It's the water. I like it very much. You are in the ride. You are going
Over the water.
over the water, and you see it, and you turning around, and you are. Oh, you see the water, and you can almost touch it. It's very, very nice.
It's crazy that Lisbeth has not one water coaster in her top 10. Considering she likes the water so much.
Yes.
Well, that might change someday.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, as Lisbeth says, it's crazy. I don't think I've ever experienced something like this. It's intense. It's fast. It's the inversions. You have so many unique ways of going through those inversions due to the spinning.
I think that was the surprise indeed. Like, I expected that it would be more family friendly than Kondaa, and I think it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Because of the spinning, and also it is the most powerful Mac launch that I've ever done. and while spinning.
Yeah,
But on the good side, it's not the kind of nausea spinning. It's really, it's hard to explain.
I was very afraid of it, the spinning, because I thought like dwervelwind. I thought if it goes so fast and spinning so hard, it will be difficult for me.
Yeah.
But so it was very nice to feel it for the first time, the spinning, and I thought, okay, it's intense, but it's okay. I can handle it.
Yeah.
it's not like you want to throw up. It's really it gives an extra sensation. You do certain inversions sideways where, as we said in the previous podcast, that we said, it will be crazy to do sideways 0G rolls because you do backflips and front flips. That's actually like that. It's like you're on a top spin.
Every ride is different.
Every single ride is different. You could have a backwards drop. You can have a drop looking at the water. You can have a drop going sideways. You can have a drop spinning crazy. It's and the thing is, Lisbeth mentioned that it's not really making you nauseous, but you should know that currently it's free spinning. So with Time Traveler in Silver City, I understand that there is magnets going around the fin, so it's a bit slowed down, the spinning. Here, the magnets are away from the fin, and there is no slowing down whatsoever. And even with that knowing it's free spinning, I don't think it's spinning that hard. I was expecting way more spinning.
Yeah, but it's the perfect kind of spinning. It doesn't have to be more.
No.
We did it once with 3, I think, and then we really went pretty fast, but still not too much.
Yeah.
Plus also, when you go through the inversions while spinning, it's, again, not something that will make you sick, unless you have a very bad stomach. But... And also the inversions slow down a bit, and the turns slow down the spinning a bit. So it's really well constructed, and it has all the elements that you'd like to have on this kind of coaster. I'm personally a big fan of the looping because it's on Blue Fire. It goes very slow, but you have a nice view because of that. Here it's a bit faster, but you still have that kind of view if you're spinning in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then, we've talked about it before as well, but the double inverting dive loop, that's also, that's my favorite element.
Yeah, probably for me as well. Plus the fact that you have the onboard audio, which we have not mentioned
Oh,
yet.
we haven't mentioned
We
it,
haven't mentioned
Very
it yet.
important.
It is very important.
Which for me, at that point, the music also gives a turn.
Yeah.
So you notice immediately this element is special on this ride, and it's crazy. If you're spinning during this, it's the most disorientating feeling. I've not had this on any other coaster. You have the feeling of flying out of your seat, but then again, you're turning, and then again you're going back down. You get a drop in airtime, and it's good.
Like I told before, I hate the music of Tomorrowland. Sorry, but I hate it. But on the coaster, it is crazy. I always want to dance on the coaster, and it's not possible when it's spinning. But I like to dance on the coaster.
It's especially composed for the coaster by the people of Tomorrowland. But it is a very important thing because it really uplifts the experience. It helps with the immersion. I think it was a very smart choice to have this kind of music. But how could you not have music on a music-themed coaster?
Yeah. We did have some rides where the audio was not there, sadly, and then it's a completely different experience for us.
Yeah.
It uplifts the ride. The music uplifts the ride, and it's 10 times better. It is without music it's okay, but with music it's unique.
Another thing we forgot to mention about the theming is the station where we have the lovely lady of Tomorrowland.
Oh yes.
So right before you leave, that you have an announcement with the slogan of Tomorrowland that's also used. The only thing that's a bit strange is it's a spinning coaster, so you have seats on both sides, but there's only one person. It's on the where you leave the station. That's where you have the visual and the theming, but the people facing the other way can't even see it.
Yeah, but then again, I think you mainly take notice of it when you're waiting in the queue just before you embark, because she really talks about you've just gone through the maze of energy of I don't know what it is again.
Yeah,
the energetic
and you're about
maze.
to experience happiness.
Yes, you're about to experience happiness.
And she's right.
Yeah, it is a coaster that makes you smile. That's for sure. And then the front seat or back seat.
It doesn't matter seat. You have airtime in the front, you have airtime in the back. You have the inversions crazy in the back. You have the view in the front and in the back. It really doesn't matter. Even in the middle. If you are in a group, you can make sure that you are in a cart and then the other peoples are in the other cart and you have interactions with your friends.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Personally, I like back row more.
He has an opinion.
I like back row more, but if I need to stay in the ride all day, give me row 3. It has the best flow. I think it has the perfect flow. You have the ejector on the top hat. You have the ejector when you're going down. It's just good. It's just good.
Yeah.
For me, it's back row because I had the most special rides on the back row, so I think I choose that. But I think it's because I didn't ride it so many times. Now I am on 24.
Not so many times.
I need to ride it more.
But I think the only difference between front and back is the first launch. So either you have the intense moment as you come up the inclined hill, or you have it more with the first drop.
Yeah.
So, but this is definitely a coaster. You cannot ride it just once. You
Yeah.
need to ride it several times, and then it will help you pick out favorite moments. Like, I think at least every ride has one favorite moment, but it can be at very different times. Also worth noting, by the way, is that for both Kondaa and for Ride to Happiness, there's no separate queues for front or back.
Yeah.
So it's basically Russian roulette.
Yeah, the point for the Ride to Happiness, however, is that you can choose where you sit, and Kondaa is assigned seating, so that's a little bit more difficult, but you can buy a quick pass, and then you can choose to go either front or back, because that's what we noticed. The peoples who get to choose, who go through the quick pass line, they 90% of the time they get to choose their own seats.
Yeah, but that's only for Kondaa. So
Yeah,
for
only
Ride
for
to
Kondaa.
and Plopsa, there is no speedy pass or anything like that.
No, indeed.
Single rider, there's also
Oh,
no
right.
single riders
Yeah.
at the Ride to Happiness. And in Kondaa, there is also
There is,
There
yeah.
is,
So
yeah.
that's an advantage for capacity. But the fun thing about the Ride to Happiness is that back seat or front seat is 4 seats, and it's not just 2.
Yeah.
So because of the spinning, doesn't matter if you're in the next to last seats or the last seats, you'll spin anyway. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's what I personally really like is the fact that you can have the backwards drop. You really get pulled down and really get thrown out of your seat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that's something we did not really expect from the Ride to Happiness. We
Yeah.
thought the Ride to Happiness is going to be an inversions and really forces were going to be there. But airtime.
Oh,
this coaster has airtime, ladies and gentlemen. And I've seen measurements been taken. It goes to minus 1.8 Gs. That's more than Kondaa.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Sometimes if you're spinning the right way, you can really feel it. And another good thing is the second launch, because it has that little bump in it, but still, it made me think of the third launch of Pulsar.
Yeah. It has a
really
pop of
forceful.
air. It has a pop of air as well.
For me, the last 2 bumps of the Ride to Happiness are a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how you
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
Because, again, you can do it sideways, you can do it front, back.
It's true, but for me, that is always the end of. I think, is going to be good or is it going to be annoying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
mostly it's good. But sometimes I think, oh, this is too hard. I will wait a moment before I go again.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, it's not as long as airtime. It's really quick pops,
Yeah.
but intense pops. I don't know how many of you have ridden Helix in Liseberg, but I really like to compare it to the airtime hill just after the inverted top hat. When you go back to the zigzag and whatever
Yeah.
it is, it's a bit like that. It's very intense, high. Painful for the legs sometimes.
Maybe a final thing to take into account, the ride duration. Like Kondaa, obviously, it's a pretty long coaster, so there you really have a long experience. Some people were afraid for Ride to Happiness that it would be short, but I think it's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Like,
good.
it doesn't have to be more.
No.
No, you go very slow out of the station, which also gives you it is also with the slower music and the more building to the experience.
Yeah.
Then you get put to rest, so you can think a bit about what you just experienced. About you've just had this inversion, great hang time, and then you get into the launch. The music goes up. You go through the first 3 elements, and then you get the second launch, and you get the pops of airtime. It's a good length.
Maybe also for me, the banana roll turned out a bit different than what I expected. Usually I don't have the best moments there. It's usually in the other parts of the ride. So like both Kondaa and Ride to Happiness's unique elements are not as amazing as expected, but then all the rest of the ride is really, really good for both of them.
Both Kondaa and the Ride to Happiness. Because we mentioned Kondaa, the first 2 hills, but we didn't mention the ending or the double ups and the sideways. What is it called? The wave turn, sideways airtime after the small helix. They're all great airtime moments, and you get some really nice, forceful pops. Certainly, when you're riding all the way in the front near the ending, just before you hit the brakes, there's a really intense moment of airtime, and that's something.
Lisbeth is doing the movement here.
No, it's both coasters have a good ending. We're lucky to be in Belgium.
Yeah, so now the question,
Oh, it's difficult.
the favorite. Let's go, Lisbeth.
It's very. I think we have the same.
That we're all on the
opinion.
same page.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult to compare them. So I think for me it's the uniqueness of the Ride to Happiness, but I like also the ride of Kondaa. But I choose with a little bit more for the Ride to Happiness.
Tom?
Sorry.
Yeah.
No need to say sorry. I mean, it's just an opinion.
I will always be a little bit biased because Plopsa is our home park, and we are super proud that we have the second extreme spinning coaster in the world. That being said as well, Kondaa is an amazing coaster. Really, don't get me wrong, it is one of the best coasters here in Europe. But so is the Ride to Happiness. I consider them both to be on the same level as Taron, as Expedition G-Force, as Helix, as Untamed. They're all on the same level for me. But my preference still goes to the uniqueness of the Ride to Happiness.
Yeah. Well, that leaves me. Will Kondaa get a point? Well, like, these two coasters opened in the same year in Belgium. Belgium that is used to almost nothing.
Yeah, we used to
'Cause we-
Anubis.
We have Anubis, we have Fury, which are
Anubis
very...
is also good.
Yeah, they're decent rides, they're good rides, but they're not like world-class rides compared to some of the other ones out there, like you mentioned. And so now, especially enthusiasts will have reasons, more reasons to come to Belgium, because you just have to do both the Ride to Happiness and Kondaa. Taking in account the theming, taking in account the ride experience, and the wow factor that I had on the first day that I rode it, I'll go for the Ride to Happiness. So I changed opinion. However, I do have to say that last time I said, okay, I have high expectations for Kondaa, I have low expectations for Ride to Happiness. Both filled in the expectations that they needed to have, but obviously the jump was higher for Ride to Happiness. So I guess that's a bit of the reason. Could be that next year I'll have a different opinion. We'll see how well they age, because that's also a good question for
Very important.
the Ride to
And the
Happiness.
trees also.
The trees,
Yeah.
the theming that can still grow for Kondaa. Plus an Intamin needs a bit of age, not too much, but to be even more intense, and that's what I really like about the coasters. While Helix, when I rode it, it was already vibrating quite a bit, so I'm curious on how well it will be maintained here. But for now, happiness.
Yeah, happiness.
So guys, what do you think? Is it time to go ride it again?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Yeah, so we'll finish our drink and then we'll go ride happiness. Thank you everyone for listening. If you want to see some more pictures of the coaster, you can also check out thecoasterkings.com and our article. We also have some new stuff launched. You can also follow us on our social media channels. And we thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review on Apple or on another podcasting website that you are using. Thanks, and have a great day wherever you are.
Bye!
Bye everyone.